Okay, so now it's time to have a look at the final test in our product image store test. This one will actually check that the image has been uploaded. We are going to call it uploads image and saves the assets. Actually, it's going to be images because we're going to try on 2 images. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is, again, use the storage faker. And then we are going to create image 1, which will be uploaded file, fake, and it's going to be an image.jpg. And the second one, which will be image 2. This one we're going to call image 2, but this one will be of the PNG type. Okay, and the first thing we're going to do is check this assert count. We're going to use we're going to expect 0, this product, and then we are going to use assets relationship that we don't have yet on the product. So let's now have a look at this asset model and the relation between product and assets. So if we open our product first, with the product, what we're going to do is use the polymorphic relationship between the product and the asset. And this is because if we go back to Laravel documentation, one-to-many polymorphic, you can see we can have posts and videos. Both will have records under the comments table, so they will have reference to the comments model. And the same sort of situation is here when we having assets, which can be associated with products, as we have at the moment, product model. But we can also have, let's say, gallery, and gallery may have multiple images. Then we can have, let's say, some sort of, I don't know, slideshow with images. We can have some sort of record with PDF files and so on. So technically, you can have a single model asset, which will accommodate all those other relations with other models, basically. So, product. Now, rather than specifying this relationship directly on the product, we are going to create a new trait under the assets namespace. So this trait is going to be called has assets, and it's of a trait type. There we go. And what this one will have, this has assets trait will have only one method, which will be public function assets, and it will return morph many, because one product may have many assets. It's going to be get associated assets, and from here we're going to return this morph many asset asset class, and the name of the field, the prefix for the field will be Sortable. And where this is going to come into play, it will become a little bit clearer in just a moment. Morph many, so that's all fine. Now let's use this particular trait inside of the product. So use has assets. Now we have this relationship available to us on the product. So it has assets. Now let's add some dog block to this class as well. And let's say we can have property, which will return collection, illuminate support collection called assets. Because obviously of this relationship methods, we can use the property which will return the collection based on this relationship. Okay, so our trait is completed. Our product model is pretty much done as well. So if we can close it, but now let's go back to our asset, because our asset hasn't been done at all yet. Now, one thing we're going to do is first copy the fillable. I'm going to just go to has attributes. Where's the fillable? Was it here? It wasn't here. Fillable is on guards attributes. Yes, guard attributes. So let's go for fillable. Paste it under assets, and let's use inherit. Was it inherit? No. Let's actually copy this whole thing. these doc blocks here. Okay, so fillable. For fillable, we're going to have several fields. We're going to have this assetable ID. Again, going back to our assets, has assets trait. You can see we have this assetable, and it's going to look for ID and type as well. So assetable ID, just to make sure that I didn't misspell it. Then we're going to have assetable type. Then we are going to have a type of the file. In our case, this is going to come from this assets type namespace, which will be the image document. And if you, with the time, have any other types, you can obviously create a specific class for it. Then we're going to have disk, because I want to be able to store files on different servers, different locations. In this case, obviously, this will give us the opportunity, the flexibility that is required to obviously accomplish this. Then we're going to have visibility as well of the file. We will have a sort, because if you have multiple files, you may want to drag and drop them, reorder them, and so on. Then we're going to have a path to the file. Then we're going to have original file name, so original name. Then we're going to have extension of the file. We'll also have a MIME type. We'll have a size of the file in kilobytes. We'll have a caption, which you may have or may not have. And then variants. Variants will represent the same asset, but saved for a different screen type. So let's say for small devices, for medium, large, Excel, and however many you may need. Now, variants, because of the fact that we want to store them inside of a single field, I'm going to use, if we just go to has attributes, I'm going to use cast property. I'm going to make sure that variants are being represented by the array. So variants, I want them to be an array when it's being retrieved from a database, but when it's saved, this will automatically serialize it to a JSON. Okay, now what else do we need here? We are going to have a relationship to any other models, which is going to return the morph2 instance. So public function assetable needs to be the same name as we have for these properties, and it's going to be morph2. And now this model can be morphed by any other that actually has any assets associated. So we're going to say get assetable model, and that's going to return this morph2. There we go. That's what it's going to return. Now, what else are we going to have? We are going to add the method public function get URL attribute, which will return, this is obviously the accessor, string that will give us get URL attribute. That will give us the URL to the given asset. Return storage facade. There we go. And we're going to go for disk using the disk of this given asset. So disk, and then we're going to go for URL using this path. Properties that we obviously going to have on this model. Now, because we have this URL, when we're going to return everything as an array, it would be good to append it as well. So if we just go back to the models, is the append here. I'm just gonna look for it like that. Append, there we go. So let's just copy this, put on our assets. So we have casts, and after casts, I'm going to have appends, and I want to append URL to whenever we are actually returning a collection of these models as well. Now, as you can see, my ID is highlighting these properties, and this is because obviously I don't have the doc blocks on this class. So I will quickly paste them here because I have them already generated. Let's just do this. And there we go. So all these properties. Now, assetable will return assetable contract. And now assetable contract, we need to obviously create this contract under the assets namespace, assetable contract, and that's going to be an interface. And what this will do is we're going to make sure that every model that has assets associated with it, has relationship to the assets, like our product, for instance, implements this assetable contract. So that's why when we are, because again, our relationship can be called as a property, and in that case, it's going to return the instance of the given model, because we have this assetable relationship method here. So assetable interface, what we're going to have here is public function, which will be called assets, and that will return morph many relationship. It's going to be get associated assets. So now we have this interface. I'm going to add doc blocks as well. And it's going to be property collection, Illuminate support collection, assets. So whenever we call this property on the given model, in our case, now I need to open product and make sure that our product implements it. So implements assetable contract. And now has assets. Let me just check assets. Do we have assets as public morph many? So that should work. Why is it highlighting here? Let me just add method stub directory. Oh, because it's wrong. It's not assets type contract. It's assetable contract. There we go. We have this method already implemented within our has assets trait. So we could technically, rather than using the same doc block here, just use inherit docked same way, because we have already this here, and rather than having this on this within this trait, we already have this within the interface, so we don't need this doc block. We know that this model has already access to the assets property. Okay, so that's all good. Let me just check if I've missed anything. Asset appended URL, which is all good. Now, one other thing we need to do, we have this sort field. We should probably provide a way to return assets sorted in the ascending order. So, but sortable sorting items is not going to be strictly for the assets. So again, I'm going to create a trait that we can reuse later on without any other models, any other collections. So I'm going to create a new namespace, new directory on the app. It's going to be called traits. And this here, I'm going to create a trait called Sortable. And it's a trait. And here within the Sortable, what I'm going to do is put the method, public function, scope, sorted. And it's going to get the builder instance, database eloquent builder as query. We're going to return the builder as well. Let's get some doc blocks, and it's going to say sort records in the ascending order by sort field. So return query order by, and it's going to be sort. And here let's just add some doc block as well. We're going to have each model that uses this trait needs to have a property which is going to be of the integer type sort. So if we go back to our asset now, do we have sort? No, I've removed this already. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just simply use this sortable, and now it's all good. So let me just check. Well, that's fine. Cool. I think our asset model is completed. Scope sorted, that's fine. We can close this one. Let's check our test. We have database query, column assetable ID, and this is because obviously we didn't update our assets migration. I'm going to the migration to the database migrations, and we open our create assets table. Now what we're going to do is add all those fields. So let's open our asset again, so we know we can copy them. Start with assetable ID, and this one will be of the foreign ID. So table, we're going to use foreign ID, Sortable ID. Then we're going to have table string, which is going to be a Sortable type. That's going to represent the namespace class name. Table string, we're going to have type, and I'm going to duplicate this. We're going to have disk. For disk, I don't think we need any more than 20 characters. Then we're going to have visibility. Visibility, we're going to only have public or private, 7 characters. Then we're going to have table unsigned integer, or should we go for big integer? Let's go for unsigned big integer, because we can have quite a few records. Or is integer going to be enough? Well, let's start with the integer. I think integer should be more than enough for how many assets can a single model have. So assigned integer is going to be sort, so it's only positive numbers unsigned. And then we're going to have, by this one by default is going to be 1. So when the record is first created, sort will be set to 1 if we don't specify it explicitly. Then we have table. After unsigned integer, we have string path. Then we are going to have string original name. Let's just, before I mistype it, original name. This one will be nullable because we may not always be able to obtain the original file name. Then we're going to have extension. An extension should not be longer. Extension will always be there. Should not be longer than 8 characters, and this is being quite generous here. Then we're going to have another string mime type, and mime, I'm not going to put anything here for the length. Mime will be nullable again, something that we may not be able to obtain always with the file. And then we're going to have table unsigned. This time we're going to use big integer, size in kilobytes. Then let's go table again for the string, which will be size. Caption we have, and caption again isn't going to be mandatory, so we're going to make it nullable. And lastly, we're going to have table JSON. This time we're going to go for variance. Okay, and I think that's our migration done. Yeah, I think that's everything. Let's just add return values void on both. So once again, Sortable type, ID type, disk, visibility, sort, path, original file name, extension, mime, size, caption, and variance. Okay, seems good. Okay, if we save and close this migration, let's run this test again, and it's passing, and it's all good, but that's only part of the code. This is just the beginning. There's going to be quite a few other things happening here, but we're going to continue with this in the following video.